I thought my best friend was my family, but a camping trip exposed her greed when she demanded a share of my secret $7 million for our shared pain. I'm Ethan Caldwell, 31, a data scientist thriving in Denver, Colorado, a city alive with snowy peaks, craft beer joints, and a tech pulse that fuels my career. My roommate and best friend, Leah Martinez, 32, is a freelance illustrator whose bold murals brighten Denver's Rhino district. We met 6 years ago at a First Friday art walk, clicking instantly over our love for craft IPAs and high-altitude hikes. 3 years back, we pooled our budgets to rent a loft in Lodo, a trendy spot with exposed brick and skyline views. Leah's, the wildfire, always hosting paint and sip nights or sketching strangers at Union Station, while I'm the bedrock, happiest analyzing datasets or perfecting my cold brew. Our friendship felt unshakable. She infused my life with spontaneity, and I offered her stability. The $7 million? It's from a startup I co-founded during my master's at CU Boulder. We built an AI for real-time fraud detection, sold it for $15 million when I was 26, and after taxes and splitting with my co-founder, I secured my cut. I never told Leah, not from mistrust, but because I wanted authenticity. I drive a scuffed-up Jeep Cherokee, buy flannels at Target, and pay my share of the $2,800 rent on time. The fortune sits in Vanguard ETFs, growing quietly save for discreet donations to Denver's youth shelters. To Leah, I'm just Ethan, the guy who geeks out over trail elevation graphs and forgets to restock the fridge. We'd built a life woven into Denver's fabric. Weekends meant hiking Bear Lake, grabbing burgers at Cherry Cricket, or debating sci-fi at the Sea Film Center. Leah knew my dreams, to bike the Colorado Trail someday, and I knew hers, a solo gallery show at Redline Contemporary. Our loft was a haven, her canvases leaning against my shelves of O'Reilly tech books. She'd tease my nerd hats, a rotation of faded Rockies caps, and I'd rib her for leaving paint tubes everywhere. We'd weathered her freelance slumps and my 2020 layoff, always splitting the load. Groceries, beers, or late-night talks. Denver's outdoor ethos, climb hard, love easy, defined us. When we planned a 5-day camping trip to Rocky Mountain National Park last fall, it was our antidote to her client droughts and my 60-hour work weeks. No signal, just us, our tents, and the vast alpine silence. I packed my gear, my solar charger, and a blind faith that our bond was bulletproof, never imagining a single trip could unravel 6 years of trust. The camping trip to Rocky Mountain National Park started like a postcard. Leah and I hiked 12 miles through pine-scented trails to Emerald Lake, our boots crunching on frost-dusted paths. We pitched our tents on a rocky outcrop, the lake glinting turquoise below. That first night we grilled elk sausages over a fire, Leah's laughter echoing as she mocked my dad hat, a worn Rockies cap I'd had since college. Her energy was infectious, and for a moment, the stress of Denver, her flaky clients, my endless code reviews, melted away. We were just two friends, free under a sky so clear it felt like we could touch the Milky Way. I went to bed thinking this was why we worked. She brought the spark, I brought the calm. Day 3 cracked that illusion. We'd spent the morning scrambling boulders near the lake, Leah daring me to climb higher while I teased her for nearly slipping. I'd left my phone in my tent, charging via a solar pack, its screen locked but not impregnable. Leah, always, a little too curious, decided to borrow it to check the weather or snap a photo. She never clarified. My passcode wasn't a secret. She'd watched me tap it a dozen times over beers at our loft. What she stumbled on wasn't a spicy text or a shady photo, but my Fidelity app, left open from a quick balance check before we lost signal. $7 million. Glowing in plain sight. That evening, the air felt different. We sat by the campfire, the crackle of pine logs filling the silence. Leah wasn't her usual self, no jokes, no stories about her latest mural. She poked at the embers with a stick, her jaw tight, eyes flicking to me like she was solving a puzzle. I asked if she was okay, thinking maybe the altitude was hitting her. She set the stick down, slow and deliberate, and looked at me. Her voice low but sharp. Ethan, when were you planning to tell me? Tell you what, I said, my stomach twisting. I knew where this was going, but I prayed I was wrong. Don't, play dumb. Her words were a blade. $7 million, Ethan? You're sitting on a fortune, and I'm out here splitting trail mix with you? I tried to explain, my voice steady despite the panic rising in my chest. The startup. The sale. My choice to live simply. It wasn't a secret to hurt her, just a shield to keep my life real. But she cut me off, her voice rising, cracking with something raw. We've been in this together, Ethan. Remember when I paid our electric bill during your layoff? The nights I stayed up helping you tweak algorithms? I've been your family. That money isn't just yours, it's ours. I laughed, a reflex, thinking she had to be kidding. Her face didn't budge. I'm dead serious, she said, leaning forward, firelight carving shadows across her cheekbones. I deserve a cut. $750,000 minimum, for every time I had your back. The world tilted. Leah, I don't owe you my savings, I said, forcing calm. We're friends, not business partners. She stood, her silhouette, looming against the flames. Friends, she spat. You've been lying to me for years. I'm drowning in debt, scraping by on gigs, and you're playing broke? You owe me for every single struggle we shared, Ethan. I didn't know this. Leah, the friend who'd danced with me at Red Rocks, who'd sketched my portrait on a bar napkin, was gone. This version was a stranger, her words laced with a venom I couldn't process. I suggested we cool off and talk at dawn, but she scoffed, muttering, "You'll regret this," before stalking to her tent. The zip of her door felt like a gunshot, the fa. Next 2 days were a slow-motion nightmare. Leah barely spoke, her silence heavier than any argument. We hiked in single file, her steps deliberate, her glances cold and calculating. I caught her rummaging through my pack once, claiming she needed my compass. I didn't believe her. On the final morning, as we broke camp, my phone slipped from my pocket into a shallow stream. Leah's quick, "Oh shit, sorry," didn't match the glint in her eyes. I fished it out, waterlogged but functional, and my gut screamed, she did that on purpose. Every rustle in the woods felt like her plotting. Was she angry, or was this something darker? Had I missed signs of resentment all these years? The mountains, once my sanctuary, closed in around me. Leah's silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. As we trudged back to the trailhead, I realized the trip wasn't ending our conflict. It was just the start. Back in Denver, I clung to hope that Leah would snap back to herself, that the mountain air had twisted her perspective. I was wrong. 2 days after we returned, we sat at our loft's kitchen island, the city's hum filtering through open windows. Leah slid a typed document across the counter, a contract demanding $750,000 for her emotional labor and shared sacrifices. Her face was stone, no trace of the friend who'd once stayed up late debating Star Wars lore. "Sign it, Ethan," she said, voice flat, "or I'll make sure everyone knows you're a fraud." Her words lit a fuse. I'd spent years building a life free of money's shadow, and she was weaponizing my choice. I refused to sign, packed a duffel, and moved out that week, crashing at my coworker Sam's condo in Rhino. The loft, once our haven, felt like a crime scene. But Leah wasn't done. Her Instagram stories turned venomous. Vague posts about fake friends, hoarding wealth while real people struggled. Then came the gut punch. A Denver blog emailed me, asking to confirm tips that I was a secret millionaire, exploiting my roommate's poverty. Leah had spun a tale, painting me as a heartless tycoon. My privacy, my sanctuary, was in shreds. I hired a lawyer who drafted a cease and desist letter for defamation. Digging deeper, I uncovered her true plan. She'd tried hacking my accounts. That dropped phone in the stream. She'd used it to trigger password resets before tossing it. My bank's security protocols blocked her, but she'd been inches from breaching my accounts. The betrayal cut deeper than her words by the campfire. I needed answers. We met at a bustling Wash Park cafe, neutral turf, the clink of mugs, grounding me. "Leah, why?" I asked, searching her eyes for the friend I'd known. "We were family." She didn't flinch. "You made me feel worthless, Ethan. Living like you were broke while I stressed over bills. It's a betrayal. I deserved a piece of your world. You tried to steal from me," I countered, keeping my voice low. She smirked, sipping her latte. Prove it. I walked away, my chest tight. My lawyer pushed for a restraining order, but I held off, craving closure over conflict. I changed every password, relocated to a sleek Cherry Creek condo, and started therapy to untangle the mess she'd left. The Leah I'd loved, the one who'd sketched murals on our walls, who'd cheered my first 14er summit, was a ghost. Therapy exposed my naivety. I'd ignored her subtle digs about my cheap lifestyle, her envy when I upgraded my hiking gear. I'd trusted too deeply. Sam became my lifeline, inviting me to trivia nights at Denver Beer Co. My sister Claire drove down from Boulder, reminding me I wasn't alone. But the wound festered. I checked my accounts daily, half expecting Leah's next move. I'd lost more than a friend. I'd lost my faith in people. Yet I stood firm, refusing to let her greed rewrite my life. Leah's betrayal rippled through Denver like a shockwave. Her Instagram rants, veiled as truth-telling, split our friend group down the middle. Some swallowed her narrative, texting me accusations, "How could you hide millions while Leah struggled?" Others saw her for what she was, a manipulator, and cut contact after I shared the hacking attempt. Our hiking crew, once a tight-knit pack summiting peaks together, imploded. Half branded me a greedy elitist. The other half called Leah a schemer. Group chats went silent and trail plans dissolved. A local blog ran a sensational piece, Denver's Secret Millionaire, Friend or Fraud, and my inbox filled with DMs from strangers, some curious, others hostile. Leah's family amplified the chaos. Her sister emailed me, claiming I'd broken Leah, who was spiraling from my selfishness. For a moment, guilt gnawed at me, until I remembered her calculated password resets. My parents, up in Fort Collins, pushed me to sue for slander, but I craved peace, not courtrooms. Leah vacated our Lodo loft, leaving a scrawled note, "Enjoy your lonely millions." It stung, but I wasn't alone. Sam and his girlfriend pulled me into their orbit, hosting taco nights in Rhino. New neighbors in Cherry Creek invited me to vinyl nights at High Dive, small gestures that dulled the ache. Denver's vibe shifted. I skipped art walks, wary of whispers about that millionaire guy. My trust in people once a given lay in tatters. I hiked solo, scanning trails for familiar faces, half expecting Leah to resurface. She didn't. Her silence felt like a coiled snake, not a retreat. The city's breweries and bike paths, once my playground, carried a faint taint. I leaned on therapy to navigate the wreckage, learning that Leah's greed wasn't my fault. Her resentment had simmered long before the camping trip. Still, the fallout left scars. I vetted new friends like a cynic, guarding my story. But Sam's loyalty and my sister's calls from Boulder reminded me that not everyone saw me as a paycheck. The community I'd loved was fractured, but slivers of it held firm, anchoring me as I rebuilt. 2 years later, I'm finding my footing. I bought a modest bungalow in Wash Park, its deck perfect for morning coffee with mountain views. I'm still a data scientist, but I've channeled my $7 million into a nonprofit, funding coding boot camps for Denver's underserved teens. It's not atonement, it's purpose, turning wealth into impact. Leah's in Portland now, peddling her betrayed artist tale at gallery openings, per mutual friends. I don't care. Therapy showed me her demands were a mirror of her own insecurities, not my failings. I'm cautious, but thawing. Sam and I tackle 14ers monthly, our banter a lifeline. I'm dating Mia, a botanist who laughs at my Rockies caps and knows my wealth up front, no secrets. Rocky Mountain National Park remains my haven, though I camp alone, phone triple locked. The stars feel honest again. Trust is a slow build, but I'm learning. Not everyone wants a piece of me. Denver's pulse, its trails, its grit, grounds me. I'm not the naive Ethan from the loft. I'm stronger, eyes open, ready for what's next.